You know those words, they hurt me. You'd found out what made me angry, then use it to your ability. Now you're trying to avoid me. You're the big problem here, a bully to many for so many years. Now shut your mouth, close your ears. Never learned your lesson and nobody cares. That's what you're here for, here to make me miserable. I know you get joy out of it. You hurt me but call me the same names again. You know I never liked them, and that's so unforgivable. I know you ruined my childhood. You hurt me and do it all over again. You ruined my childhood. You hurt me and do it all over again.
This is Fantasy-esque, and welcome back to the Sims 4 Royal Witch Kingdoms. This episode is a very crazy follow-up to what happened last time, because unexpectedly everything changed. Like, everything changed, because two of our ruling monarchs died in a freak fire at the Eodja palace, when everyone was supposed to be having, like, an introduction to the Fourth Kingdom. It was supposed to be a celebratory time for everyone to get together, to mingle, introduce themselves, and hopefully help the new alchemist kingdom assimilate with the others in the Witch Alliance. Instead, what ended up happening is Nimue snuck into the kitchens and then started a freak fire in which she got caught and ended up dying. And then not long after that, Edmund snuck into the kitchens and he caused a freak fire as well and then ended up dying. And in that instance, no one in attendance at the royal party decided to help them out. So yes, that ended up happening. Now, what has gone on in the movie of this episode? Basically, the High King of Eodja, Owain, apologized to the others and offered his condolences for the deaths that occurred at his palace. I mean, everyone was here. Like, all the important figures across the Witch Kingdoms were in attendance. So they know that Owain didn't do anything because they saw how it happened. It was a freak fire. Everyone was witness to that. In fact, I think everyone ran into the kitchens in both instances before then escaping to their own safety and not helping out the members on fire. But they bore witness to that, so they are aware that Owain had nothing to do with it, but obviously some people are pissed, especially Elrond, because he lost his wife, and now he's raising the young son all by himself. So, it's a bit of a tough thing, but Faina was quick to jump in and say that although she feels Elrond's pain, Elrond is still king of Ramong. So Ramong still has a ruler. However, Holcane is a different situation entirely, because if you remember, Edmund was the only adult figure in the royal family, and he recently lost his wife, Luna, after in childbirth, after she gave birth to High Princess Eve, and he was looking for a wife. So we were looking forward to that, and that was a huge thing that was happening, and everyone across the kingdoms are talking because Ramong, Ciccar, and Holcane were interested in marrying family members into the royal house. So that was huge. But he died. And with him, everything kind of went to... it just went everywhere. Everything just fell apart because we had no adults. There was no adult, a ruling adult in the royal family of Holcane. And then when Owain was having this meeting with all of the rulers, the surviving rulers, right? Because apart from him and his wife, Queen Zara, there are only 3 surviving rulers. So they were having a meeting about Holcane, and then when the Ciccars came, because of Lion's connection to Holcane, he was born there, he was raised there, he was originally a Holbard who married into Ciccar. He has contacts, and his contacts let him know that not long after High King Edmund's death was discovered in Holcane, not long after that news came down to Holcane, the High Princess was assassinated by unknown parties. So we were saying in the previous episode, Eve was going to survive. What's going to happen to Eve? Someone has to raise her, but she's she's the heiress. She's the ruler, future ruler of, baby ruler, who knows? But she's the future ruler of Holcane. But unfortunately, Eve, while a toddler, and we didn't even get to see her, which breaks my heart, because I was just telling you guys beforehand how Eve, as a toddler, she had a little pink dress on and she was so cute, but she had her mother's genes just down to the smallest detail. She had the dark blue skin, the light brown hair, and then she had the, was it the light blue eyes? I think so, but she had her mother's eyes, basically. She was just beautiful. Like a mini Luna. And we were talking about, what it's going to be like when she grows up and she's looking at these wedding portraits of her Nalka and wondering what her mother was like and all of that. But now that's not even a thing because she was assassinated. So Holcane is in dire straits because it means there is no house of Holcane anymore. The royal family is dead, and Luther can't go back to Holcane because he's been adopted into the Ciccar royal family. And he is High Prince of Ciccar now, and he's going to be the future ruler of this kingdom. So he can't leave because that jeopardizes the family he is with now. There is no going back. Faina is not going to let her adopted son go back to Holcane, right? His place is now in Ciccar. He's no longer a Holcane as far as she's concerned. So, yeah, there is no titular house. There is no royal house. So what's going to happen? Now, Owain was quite clear on the fact that he does not think the rulers of these other kingdoms, himself included, that they should decide Holcane's future. He felt as though that right is solely belonging to the High Lords of Holcane. I mean, that is what the court is there for, to help figure things out when huge things like this happen, because it's something that's happened within their own kingdom. So he had High Lord Dorian and High Lord Eldric summoned to the Eodja Palace, and basically told them that, the future of Holcane is on you guys. We, as the monarchs of the Witch Kingdoms, will bear witness to any decision that you make. And then Dorian said that he would go have a private conversation with Eldric, and they will return once they have come to a decision about what is to be done. So, yes, everyone is quite upset right now. And Zara is just incensed. She is very, very upset because, as we know, she's pregnant. She's in her first trimester, so she's, getting ready to have her own baby. And just the idea of a royal child who is barely a toddler being assassinated, being killed by, unknown figures, she just finds that ridiculous, and she's angry at how it could have happened. Like, why did it happen? That little baby didn't deserve it. I mean, especially the tragedy surrounding her. And, guys, as sad as I am, a part of me is so thankful and grateful that Luther is no longer in Holcane, that he has been adopted into Ciccar and he's there. Because I'm starting to wonder if, the royal family of Holcane was cursed, if they had some sort of curse on them, which is why every generation of that family just was going through, or every member was going through so much tragedy. And a part of me feels like if Luther had stayed behind, something bad would have happened to him, he would have ended up dying. So I'm kind of glad. I feel like if he doesn't go back to Holcane, he will live a relatively safe life over in Ciccar. So, crazy stuff has been happening. So Eldric and Dorian, they spoke to each other about what is to be done. And I feel so bad for them. They're like old men at this point. They're old men at this point, and, this kind of big thing happens. And now, right towards the end of their own lives, they have to decide what is to be done with the kingdom they were born into, they grew up with, they married in, had children in, and, they have to leave that decision to the future generation. As in, whatever they decide is going to affect not necessarily them, because they're pretty much at the end of their lives. It's going to affect the future generations, their children, their families, their descendants, and their legacies, right? So these two spoke to each other about what is to be done. And actually, before we dive into the decision they came to, I want to talk about something that one of you lovelies mentioned in a previous episode, which I, did not even think of. So in one of the episodes where we were playing with the Holdigans, we had, I think, a late wedding party for them while Helicip was pregnant, because I accidentally didn't upload their wedding episode, so you guys weren't there for the wedding ceremony and the wedding party. So we had a catch-up one. And in that party, Edmund was invited, Padme was invited, Lion was invited as well. And Helicent was being very rude to Lion, and Eldric was kind of verbally attacking Padme, and I didn't know why that was happening. And then he was, Eldric was giving his approval to Helicent for attacking Lion, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And one of you lovelies explained, or, your theory, which I totally love, in the comments you said that because Edmund is looking for a wife, or he was at that point in time, and Padme was one of the the princesses, the potential princesses he could have taken as a bride. Because of that, the Holdegans were not happy with the Ciccars. They were kind of saw the Ciccars as competition. So Eldric was going after Padme because of that, because he was ambitious and he wanted one of his sisters to marry into the Holcane royalty. Remember, because his sisters were eligible as well. And Helicent, she kind of, as now Holdegan, she kind of was ambitious in the same way. She wanted one of her Najame's sister-in-laws to marry into Holcane royalty. And so she was, taking that out on Lion, because even though Lion was born in Holcane, he, his Dorian's younger brother, even though that was a thing, he is now the king of Ciccar. He's married High Queen Faina, so, he's a Ciccar now. So you were saying that Ciccars equal competition, and that's what was happening. Now, I had to talk about this because I feel like part of that is going to work into the decision that Eldric and Dorian have come to regarding their kingdom. So, they decided that the previous dynasty has come to an end, right, with the deaths of the Holcane royal family. And they do not want to leave Holcane empty, like the royal family, the seat of ruler. They don't want to leave that empty for long, because that's kind of a danger. And I think part of the danger they're worried about is, yes, the witch kingdoms, they are an alliance. They're supposed to look out for each other. But at the same time, some of the monarchs are greedy, and they are worried that someone is going to want to take over Holcane or assume the position of, ruler. And they don't want that, right? They want to kind of maintain their independence. So they have kind of decided that a new dynasty needs to come into place, and they have to, be the new royal family. They have to keep the independence of Holcane and the lifestyle of Holcane going. And they would like, a member of a royal family to help with that. And so the two options then become, well, you could bring over Princess Padme to Holcane and have her start a new dynasty as a ruler of Holcane, separate from Ciccar, like renounce her Ciccar lineage. Or you could get Princess Lyra from Ramong, Elrond's sister-in-law. You could get her and have her do the same thing, renounce her connection to the Ramongs, take on a new name, and become the ruler of Holcane and have a new dynasty going. So essentially, with Padme, both Dorian and Eldric have agreed that they do not want a member of the Ciccar family to come in and start a new dynasty, because the Ciccars have way too much power, for one. They don't entirely trust the intentions of Faina, especially because, there have been whispers and talks of basically the political assassinations that have been going on, or that Faina's been involved with, so they don't feel comfortable with that entirely. And also, the Ciccars have already mingled too much with they did with the Holcane royalty. Luna was married and all of that, so they don't entirely, and then they've adopted out Luther, so they don't want the Ciccars to have really anything more to do with Holcane. The Ciccars kind of have a stake in Holcane as well, and they can't trust the Ciccars not to be greedy when it comes to wanting more than they already have. So then it falls to Lyra. Now, Lyra was the sister of Nimue, and she is not necessarily inheriting Ramong, or she's not becoming the next ruler, because Nimue had a child. Nimue had an heir when she died. She had a son who is High Prince Rune, and also her husband Elrond is still alive. So Elrond is essentially going to be serving as regent until he's going to be serving as regent until Rune comes of age until he's a teenager and able to take the crown and be the ruler, or he's probably going to stay regent until his death, and then his son is going to take over. But there is that happening. Because of that, Lyra she isn't necessarily needed in the kind of succession. So she's kind of a spare, right? She's a royal that's free. And these guys have decided that they would like to appoint Lyra as the new High Queen, and they would like to bring her over from Ramong. Another thing is, Ramong is completely at this point unrelated to them. They've never really had any marriages or anything like that in Ramong. Now, something to think about is the fact that in Holcane, they are so entwined with Ciccar, literally not just the royal family, but Dorian's wife and Eldric's wife, they were both born in Ciccar. So they belonged to noble families in Ciccar, and they were married into Holcane. So that's another thing. So far, literally, all it's been has been marriages from Ciccar and Holcane. Like, all of the brides in the royal and royal household and noble households, all the brides in Holcane have been brought from Ciccar. So Ramong is kind of unconnected to them. They feel like someone from Ramong will, like a royal from Ramong, would be fair towards Holcane and would be able to do things with a fresh perspective without compromising them, because there is no stake. They don't have a stake in this kingdom just yet. So, it's not as though they already have a little bit and they want more. They'll give this kingdom a fair chance. So essentially they've appointed Lyra to be the new High Queen of Holcane. And along with that, she's basically renouncing her Ramong family, connections, lineage. She's starting a new dynasty. And as part of that, she is going to take on a new last name. And the last name that she has chosen, or I suppose she has to choose at this point. That's what they've decided. So they are going to be, sending a messenger or making the trip themselves to Ramong, back with Elrond. And all the royal families, they have kind of witnessed at this point what is happening here. Now, yes, we could say that one of these guys, they could be ambitious and they could take the throne themselves, but since they are of noble blood, they feel as though, the other rulers won't take them seriously if they do that, and that will weaken Holcane's position among the other kingdoms. And Holcane, I personally feel like Holcane is kind of has been like the second most powerful kingdom after Ciccar, and then it's kind of Ramong, and then we have now we have Eodja, just because the Ciccars built, they were really strong, and then they built a connection through marriage with the Holcanes, so Holcane's status kind of went up a little bit, and they're kind of scared that if they don't have anyone of any royal ancestry to hold the reins in Holcane, that none of the other royal families are going to take them seriously, and in the future they might just overtake Holcane. So that's why they are not taking the throne themselves, and they're instead appointing a spare member of another royal family from another kingdom to renounce their lineage and come here and start a new dynasty with them. So that's what's going to happen. I am going to let these guys go off, do what they need to. So basically, it's going to be a huge change, because we'll have a new dynasty, a new royal family in Holcane, but also with that new family, Holcane will no longer be Holcane, right? Because as we know, the royal families here, the kingdoms, they take the last name of the royal family that is ruling them. And not only that, but the nobles, their last names are kind of influenced, or they reflect the kingdom they belong to. So the Holdigans and the Holbots, you know, their last names will be changing slightly to reflect that. The kingdom name of Holcane is going to change to reflect the new dynasty that is ruling it. So that's going to be very interesting. There's going to be new construction happening at Holcane. There's going to be a brand new palace for them because it's no longer the same family. And I think there's also this idea that so much tragedy happened with the Holcanes. There's kind of like, or people feel there's, you know, almost a curse around them. So everything has to be new. They've got to build a new palace so that hopefully everything goes well. Like they get rid of whatever bad energy is there. They want a brand new start and a brilliant start, something that is going to endure. So these guys, I'm going to let them, I'm so sorry for yammering on for like 20 minutes and talking your ear out, but a lot of stuff we have to cover and get through. So they're all going to be doing that, and that way everything is good, everything is secure. Lyra is a member of the royal family, so you know, people are going to take her seriously. She's got royal blood. So when she establishes a new dynasty, they will listen to her, and she will have like an equal say and voice in the witch kingdoms among the monarchs, the rulers. So I'm going to take off. We'll come back when Queen Zara is in her second trimester. By then, the construction of the palace will have happened. Lyra will have moved to Holcane, and she will have been appointed as the High Queen. And then we can get High King Owain and Zara to go visit her at the palace. We can have a look at the palace, also see Lyra as the new High Queen, pay our respects, and also to return the urn of High King Edmund who died there. So we'll definitely be doing that, and then we have to make a trip to Ramong as well, so we can give the urn of Nimue to Elrond, and then, you know, we'll be able to see High Prince Rune, hopefully. So if you guys, in case you guys are wondering, like, why Eve is assassinated and, you know, why that turn ended up happening in the story, well, here's the unstory explanation. Basically, like I was freaking out in the previous episode, Eve was a toddler and Edmund was the only adult in the household, and when he died, the game basically booted her out of the managed households. And when I jumped into the game, obviously the Holcane household didn't exist anymore, because you can't have minors by themselves, and there was no other adults in the household or even a teenager to help look after her. So the game basically booted her. And then when I tried to move another witch, I tried to make a new household, move them into the palace, and then try and somehow cheat Eve in. But when I went to the adoption agency, Eve wasn't there at all. So we couldn't get any of the families to adopt her because Eve just wasn't showing up. And then when I tried to summon her, cheat her into the family, that broke the game so that I couldn't even load in and play anything. Like, it just broke my game. So unfortunately, I had to let go of High Princess Eve. And in the story, that is why she has been assassinated. Basically, someone saw an opportunity when Edmund died. He obviously left Eve behind in Holcane with, you know, caretakers and whatnot. And guards, I'm sure, security. But he was away. Like, the High King himself wasn't at the palace. And when some people in Holcane, I don't know if there were people from Holcane or from another kingdom, but basically when they found out that Edmund had died, they went ahead, took that chance, and assassinated High Princess Eve while, you know, everyone else was freaking out and wondering what the hell to do. So unfortunately, that's how the family of Holcane comes to an end. It's kind of crazy. I did not expect, when I started this, I did not expect, and by this I mean the entire series, I was not expecting the Holcanes to die out this quickly. Like, just imagine how distraught, you know, Leia, High Queen Leia, our founder, and her husband Uther would be if they knew this is what would happen in the end. Like, that's just crazy to me. That is just wild. Even a couple episodes back, we were planning Edmund's marriage. We didn't even know this would happen. We didn't know there would be no friggin' Holcane royal family. We were planning on, like, who's gonna get married into the royal family and all of that. But, how things take a turn. Also, I've decided that slowly throughout the palaces, I am going to be changing the setup of the throne room so that, you know, we have the ruler's throne in the middle with their huge portrait, and then we'll have like a seat on the side for their spouses and a smaller portrait for them somewhere. But I don't think I want the two chairs with the High King / High Queen and their spouse to sit with. I prefer the ruler, so it's clear to everyone, you know, who's in charge here. The ruler is going to be in the middle on the throne, and their ceremonial spouse is going to be seated next to them. So there we go. Okay, well, I am going to let these guys mourn, and no doubt we are waiting for Zara to be in her second trimester, and then we'll jump back in to see how everyone's doing and what's going on with them. Right, Queen Zara is in her second trimester, and she has made the trip with High King Owain of Eodja to, well, what was previously known as Holcane, to visit the new High Queen and return the urn of High King Edmund from the previous dynasty, and, you know, take a look at the palace. So let's get this going, guys. So where we had the previous palace of Holcane, it has been replaced with this new one. This cool new palace. So I am going to put the creator of this lot in the description like I usually do. I don't have it on hand with me, unfortunately, because I dealt with this game a while back. But I am going to put all the details in the description so you guys can find it, play it in your own games because it looks really cool. So here we go, guys. Let's try and see if the High Queen is currently at home. Hopefully she is. But there's like a really cool setup in here, so I'm excited for that. Okay, we're in. So we're going to take a look at this palace. So it's very like Roman-esque, and I love that. I had to make some minor changes, but yeah, not a whole lot. It pretty much came like this, which blew my mind away. But you enter through the side over here, and then you've got this really cool water feature. And then you've got a bar like off to this side, and you have this area, which I'm going to talk about in a second here. Like a private lounge back in that corner. And then up through here, we have the really cool throne room. So this is, look at this, just look at this. This really cool throne room with, like I said, the throne. We have a portrait of High Queen Lyra, who has chosen the last name of Nalkosi for her new dynasty. So Holcane is now the kingdom of Nalkosi after the new dynasty. So there is that, which means the nobles have also changed their last names a little bit to reflect that. So the Holbots are now the Nalbots, and the Holdegans are now the Naldegans. So there has been that shift. But the new queen of Nalkosi, the High Queen, she has not forgotten about the Holcanes. In fact, on the left corner, so all the way across where the throne room is, we have this kind of memorial almost for like the urns for members of the previous dynasty. So we have, hold on a second, add my effects on. we have the urn of High Queen Luna, Holcane, and then High Prince Vex Holcane. Oh no, what am I saying? Not High Queen. Of Luna, Queen Luna Holcane, and then High Prince Vex of Holcane, and then we're going to add High King Edmund here as well. So let's try and do that. Can we pop this? Yep, we can. Nope, move this way. Ah, come on. Come on. Okay, that's being fussy. Hold on a second. Can I do it this way? Nope, it does not want to listen. Fine, I'll come back and shift that when we're playing with this household. But there we go, we have added the urn. So there is this memorial. And then also, in the birth chamber of the new palace, we actually have all of the portraits of the previous dynasty members. So right here along the walls, we have High Queen Leia Holcane, King Uther Holcane, High King Edmund, and Queen Luna. They are right over here. So, you know, the children, the new royal children, hopefully growing up, that are either born here or grow up here, they are going to be raised knowing the history of the kingdom and the dynasty that came before them. And then we have, next to the beds here, the 2 wedding portraits of Luna, first to Vex and then to Edmund, because, you know, even though the previous royal family, you know, is now died out, they had such a rich history, and I feel like future children that are born in Nalkosi should know about what Nalkosi was before, which is Holcane. I don't want that to be forgotten, and neither does Lyra, which is why, you know, she's kind of arranged that at the birth chamber / nursery. So anyways, you have the throne room, like I said, and then we have this dining room back here. Bathrooms kind of littered across the palace. We have kind of like a butler's pantry over in this way. And then we have a kitchen, a very small kitchen for the staff to work out over here. More bathrooms, and then just sporadically a bunch of beds, which I imagine, you know, the staff uses. And then this kind of little rest area for them as well. And then if we go upstairs, we have, look at this, the brilliant library and also the master bedroom of the High Queen, which looks so, so cool. Just look at this place. It's amazing. And then we have a balcony over here. So, yeah, this place looks so, so cool. Now, there are also staircases. Just the one? Actually, just the one. There is a staircase up to this side, which goes down to the basement. So we actually have this like hot tub over here. We have this really cool spa area for our members, our lovely members to enjoy. In fact, the High Queen, Lyra Nalkosi, is down here with her new crown, which is, if I'm not mistaken, she's got a black and purple crown, which I think the Holcanes had like a... Wait, hold on. What crown color did they have? Where are the portraits? Show me the portraits. Okay, they had like, I think a, they had a red and purple crown. Yeah, but the Nalkosi dynasty, they have the black and purple crown. So let's see if we can go down to where Lyra is. It's kind of hard to see in this lighting, I feel. But Lyra, come here, Lyra. Come here. It's kind of hard to see, but yeah. Black and purple crown. There we go. Look at her. Isn't she lovely? She's just lovely. Now, unfortunately, she's in the pool, so we can't see her royal dress, but you can kind of see it in the portrait she's wearing, actually. You can kind of see it in a portrait. And I don't remember what outfit color, like what her color scheme is. I actually don't. I think it's black and purple. I think so. But there we go. Doesn't she look lovely? She looks lovely. And that is our new High Queen of Nalkosi. My, how things have changed. It's kind of crazy. The Ramongs, they've always been reclusive, so, you know, I never imagined something like this would happen. Would happen? I forgot how to tense for a second. Like, grammar just went out the window. Okay. There we go. Why don't you see if you can come and greet the High Queen, give her a respectful introduction, and, Zara's already been introduced to her. Owain hasn't. So, Owain, you come on down, you greet the new High Queen, pay your respects, and also offer your condolences. Because Lyra, you know, she just lost her older stag there. She lost her older sister, High Queen Nimue, but then she got appointed for this very important responsibility. Oh, and then we also have a secondary bedroom down here, which I imagine is going to go to the heir. If and when there is an heir. It's probably going to be down here. Just because, unfortunately, the layout of the castle, or the layout of the palace, we don't really have a lot of space, you know, in the upper levels for any of that. So anyways, let's go in. Let's pay our respects to her. There we go. Look at her. But she's kind of, now she has this like life of luxury over here. So I am happy for her, but yes, also feel sorry for her. I feel like maybe didn't have time to mourn necessarily, because Owain still has Nimue's urn and he hasn't even made a trip to Ramong yet, but before he could do any of that, Lyra was appointed and then, you know, brought across to Holcane, which became Nalkosi, and then she's been busy working over here with the nobles to fit into her role and establish the new dynasty. So she hasn't had time to mourn, and unfortunately she isn't going to be there when Owain returns the urn of Nimue. But she does have, you know, and then there was a lot of work she had to do, not only building this new palace, because it's, you know, supposed to be the rebirth of this kingdom, the start of a new age for them. She also had to work out, you know, how she's going to continue the legacy of the previous dynasty, of the Holcanes, how she's going to remember them. So, like, moving all their portraits, setting up an area for their urns, all of that, you know, it took a lot of work on her side, I feel. So she's just been busy with that, and she hasn't had time to think very much, to be upset. Now, in terms of what's going to happen with her heir, and, you know, if she's going to get married, yes, she's establishing a new dynasty, or, you know, dynastic name. She's establishing a new dynastic name, but she is an adult at this point. She's quite close to becoming an elder, and I don't know if she's still gonna be an adult by the time we get around to playing her. She might age up into an elder by that point. If that is the case, then we will have the same situation that we did with Faina. She is going to probably remain unmarried, and she is going to adopt an heir from one of the other households, depending on if we have any. Actually, yeah, depending on if we have any, like which spares we have available to us at the time. We currently have no royal spares unless Queen Zara and High King Owain, they have like multiples this pregnancy, if they have twins or something. That might be an option. If not, then she'll probably adopt a spare from one of the noble households across the Witch Kingdoms, and that will be the new High Prince or High Princess, and they'll inherit the name of Nalkosi, and they will continue the new dynasty. So that's what is happening with us, guys. Crazy amount of things. And normally we do have, I'm wondering if I should let this episode go on anymore, or if we should kind of let Zara give birth in the next episode because I feel like things have kind of stretched a bit long. And typically, you know, we don't wait that long before our queens or our ladies have their babies, but there were quite a few things for us to talk about in this episode, which is why it kind of took so long. And she does have a bit to go, and I'm a bit worried the episode is going to stretch too long. So I'm thinking we might just get her to give birth in the next episode. That might be a thing. But okay, guys, that aside, another thing I want to quickly speak about is the intro. So we've had a certain kind of intro so far into the series, but obviously, you know, things get confusing and just hit the fan when we have deaths in the royal families or the rulers die, because then my intro, like when I made that intro, I didn't save the actual the project file, unfortunately, so I can't just go in and make quick edits and, you know, change the characters in it. Like, I have to remake the entire intro because I didn't think that far ahead, okay? Like, with the Vampire Amazon intros, I actually keep the project file, so when changes happen in the game, I can update the actual intro, but I didn't do that for Witch Kingdoms for some reason. I didn't think that far ahead. But obviously, when situations like this happen, I don't feel like I should keep the original intro with, you know, 3 of the monarchs that have died, because that doesn't make sense in the story anymore. So this episode is going to be the last episode with that original intro, and then I'm going to simplify things a bit more, and make it dynamic, keep a project file, so that in the future, like if we have new monarchs, or if someone dies, or they're unmarried and there's like no king or queen, but there is a high, like in this instance, there is a high queen of Nalkosi, there isn't a king, so we can have like a blank spot in the intro for that character that isn't in existence, and then, you know, we can update and change as Sims die. Obviously, I'm not going to change like if they age up and they become, you know, elders or anything like that. I'll keep the original portraits, but as they die and get replaced by new characters, then that will be reflected in the intro, so that it's fresh, it's updated, we don't get confused. Like, we don't look at the intro and be like, wait a second, it says Edmund's High King of Holcane, but that won't make sense anymore because Holcane doesn't exist. It's Nalkosi now, and it has a High Queen. So yeah, I will be changing that from the next episode. I did have it kind of prepared for this episode, but then, like, I didn't want to use it because it'd give away what was going on with Lyra being the new High Queen. So I was like, you know what? We'll remember him and Luna and Nimue one last time, and then from the next episode, the intro will be changing so that we can have, like, the new characters featured in it. But okay, guys, I am going to leave off. We will get our lovely Queen Zara to have the heir in the next episode. I don't want this to stretch too long. We covered a lot of ground. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.